All right. In this video, I want to talk about no man. And this is very key because when we talk about no man, you think of everybody else but yourself. And I want to take a moment here to put a mirror up so that you take a look at yourself. Because we all need to do some self-examination, to be honest with ourselves, to be truthful with ourselves, to really take a deep look at our heart and our motivation, right? And if we're really being honest and genuine, even with ourselves, yet alone with others or with God, right? So what I'd like to do is start here in John chapter 10 at verse 29. You all know about this passage here, right? Where no one can pluck you out of Jesus' hand. Where he says here, "My Father which gave them me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand." Right? And right before that, he was saying that there's not any man that can pluck you out of his hand, Jesus' hand. Now, I like to bring this up when I talk to people such as Seventh-day Adventists or Catholics. When you bring this up about, hey, no one can pluck you out of his hand, they'll say, well, you can pluck yourself out of his hand. And it's like, well, then you're calling God a liar. Because he said no man. That would include yourself. You can't even pluck yourself out of his hand. Right? So it's impossible for even you yourself to do it. Right? Because it's God owns you. He bought you. You've accepted it. You have accepted the payment. You have accepted the covenant or the contract. You're adopted into his family. You're going to be treated as his child, which means even if you don't want to, you have to, right? You don't want to go home? Too bad, you're going home, right? You can't be plucked out of his hand, not even by you. You can't do it, right? So quickly teaching you about eternal security, but that's not what I want to focus on. What I actually want to focus on is coming over here to Matthew chapter 24. And at verse 24, the first thing Jesus warns about the end, he says, "Take heed that no man deceive you." Now, this would mean anybody, right? But do you ever think about yourself deceiving yourself? This is where the mirror comes in. Do you deceive yourself? Do you lie to yourself? You know, a lot of people lie to themselves and say, "Oh, I'm not a sinner. I'm a good person. I'm not evil." Right? I'm not bad. What I'm saying and doing isn't wrong. It isn't evil. And, you know, justify the things they think about, justify the things they say and don't say, the things they do and don't do, right? They deceive themselves. Are you deceiving yourself? Right? This is something to really think about here, because it's not just about everybody else. Yes, we're very aware. Hey, we got to watch out. There's a lot of deceivers. There's a lot of manipulators. There's a lot of narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths. Right? There's a lot of tares among the wheat. There's a lot of goats and Judas goats among the sheep. Right? And there's a lot of wheat that need to get rid of that chaff. There's wolves in sheep's clothing. There's snakes in the grass, right? We're aware of all that. But what about ourselves, right? We don't realize that a lot of times we deceive ourselves. One of the biggest things we deceive ourselves in is saying, this is the last time. No more, right? This is the last time. This is the last time you're going to go out and party. This is the last time you're going to fornicate. This is the last time you're going to have a cigarette. This is the last time you're going to have a joint. This is the last time you're going to have a drink. This is the last time you're going to have coffee or soda or your energy drink, right? This is the last time I'm going to look at porn. This is the last time I'm going to do this. The last time I'm going to say that. The last time. And then you justify doing it because you say this is the last time. But you lie to yourself, and you even know you lie to yourself because you've done it so many times, right? We deceive ourselves in so many ways. And one of the worst ways is we deceive ourselves to think that we are Christian when we're not. We deceive ourselves into thinking we believe when we don't. And I was seeing this, that there's a lot of people who call themselves Christian, and they truly believe it. And they're deceiving others because they have deceived themselves, and they go out and they share this to try to convince others that they are actually Christian, to fortify the belief in themselves that they truly are Christian. And they need other people's validation that they're Christian because their foundation is a lie, right? They know they don't truly believe deep down, and they have doubts, right? But they deceive themselves into thinking they're Christian because look at the good things I do, right? I'm praying, I'm reading the Bible, and I encourage other people to do this. I'm giving the charity, helping out the soup kitchen. I'm doing these things. I go to church. And look, all these people, they verify. They see the good things, and they say that I'm Christian. I was all water baptized, right? I partake of the Eucharist. I say my Hail Marys. I go to Saturday Sabbath, the correct day to go to the Sabbath, right? Look at all these things. But when we come over here to Jeremiah 17, verse 9, Jeremiah says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" You know, your very heart deceives you. It does it all the time. All the time. Right? We talk ourselves into sin because we enjoy it. We know we shouldn't do it, so we try to fight against it. But then we convince ourselves into it being okay. And then we do it, and then we feel guilty about it, right? Because the heart is deceptively wicked. So when Jesus says, "Let no man deceive you," don't let yourself deceive yourself. You're part of man. When God created Adam and Eve, he didn't call Eve Eve. He called them both Adam, which means mankind. It was Adam who then called Eve Eve, right? And that's interesting and something to think about, because when you read about man this, man that, women need to understand that it's also talking about them, right? So a lot of times we differentiate, right? And sometimes we ought to and we should, but then there's other times where we shouldn't. So that's something I just wanted to put in there, just in case there's some of you who are thinking that or what have you. And it also has some beautiful inclinations to Jesus and being joined to him as his bride, where God isn't going to look at us as, hey, we are the church. He's like, no, I'm looking at Jesus. Jesus is him and his bride, his body. That's Jesus. It's Jesus himself who will give us a new name, like Eve, right? It's a lot of cool things that unfold from that. And it's comforting and encouraging. I get a little bit of chills and excitement just talking about it. But anyway, I want to add a little bit more to this, going back to the New Testament in Romans chapter 7. We see this, that the heart is deceptively wicked. And I'll highlight this whole last part. I don't know if I'll go through the whole thing here. I don't know if I need to. I accidentally didn't go down to the last verse with a highlight here. So in Romans chapter 7 at verse 14, now this gets very poetic in the way he says this. It's the Old English here, and it's might be a little rough sometimes. But this is like some poetry here. And to just give you a little background here, Paul is basically saying, you know, the inward man, the new man that's been born again, created anew from the inside out. You know how Jesus would talk to the Pharisees and says, hey, you clean the outside of the cup, but the inside is still dirty. Right? He's saying outwardly you do these righteous things, but inwardly there hasn't been a change. You haven't truly been converted. You haven't been born again. You're not saved. You're just putting out this outward appearance, right? They're deceiving themselves, right? Exactly what Paul was talking about in Romans 6 and 7 about how the law deceived him, thinking that he's actually a good person. He doesn't deserve hell, he deserves heaven. He's pleasing to God, even though he fought against those who followed Jesus and persecuted them, right? And then he's talking about the flesh. Our physical body has these earthly desires of pride, exaltation, power, and social status, and lusts and pleasures. And it deceives us. It fights against us, right? And that's what he talks about here. So don't let any man deceive you. This would also be you yourself. Don't deceive yourself. As we read here in Romans chapter 7 at verse 14, Paul writes, "For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin." Carnal would just mean flesh, your physical body. We're all carnal. There's no way around that, right? By definition of what it means. Continuing here, verse 15, "For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that I do not. But what I hate, that I do." So you see here, he's talking about this battle between the spirit and the flesh, as he talks about in other writings. Like at the end of Galatians, he talks about how the spirit wars against the flesh and the flesh against the spirit, right? So basically what he's saying here is there's times where I do things, but I don't want to do these things, right? But the flesh gets me to do it. And there's things that I would want to do, but my flesh gets me not to do it, right? And he goes on at verse 16, "If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good." Which he's basically admitting, I'm a sinner. It's not just that I have sinned, but I go after sin, right? And at verse 17, "Now then it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me." You see that? He's differentiated from him. It's not the new man that sins, it's this old man, the flesh, the flesh that Jesus died for, that he put to death on the cross. At verse 18, "For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. For the good that I would I do not, but the evil which I would not that I do. Now if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man. But I see another law in my members," his members is the carnal flesh, "warring against the law of my mind and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin which is in my members. O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? I thank God through Jesus Christ our Lord. So then with my mind I myself serve the law of God, but with the flesh the law of sin." So we see here, let no man deceive you. This also means you. And hopefully you'll take a look in the mirror. But the sad thing is I know a lot of you are like vampires. You can't see your reflection. And you'll just double down on the lies you tell yourself, which is a shame. And your first instinct is not to be just settled in yourself. You know, this is something that I'll end the video with, something to help you look at yourself. If your reaction to this is, yeah, okay, I want to look at myself, and you can see maybe there's some things, there's issues, but you're solidified in your faith. You know that you're a sinner. You know you're not a good person, and you know you got to make changes, and you are making changes. That there has been changes, and that God has saved you, and you're secure in that, and you're okay with everything. Nothing's bothering you right now. Well, that's a good sign. You know, you're not being convicted. I would say that's a pretty good sign, right? But if your mentality right now is you're arguing against this for some reason, you're trying to justify certain things about yourself, and now the first thing you want to go do is to try to find other people to convince that you're right and that you're good, you're not, there's nothing you need to change, you're not really that bad, you are truly a Christian, you truly believe and all this, and you're trying to get other people to validate what you're saying. That's not a very good sign. Not a good sign at all. That shows that you have truly a heart that doubts, that isn't right with God. You're not secure in your relationship with Him because you need to fight to try to be like, I need people to believe I'm Christian. I need to fight with them, to argue with them, to get them to believe that I am one. And now I got to go find other people to support me so I have some numbers. But the only reason why you need that is because you don't have the Spirit of God within you witnessing to you that you are His child. You need validation from other people. And that's good enough for you. But it ain't going to fool me. It ain't going to fool other true Christians. You're just fooling yourself. You're being self-deceived. And Jesus said, let no man deceive you. This means also yourself. And we're warned that our heart is deceptively wicked. So I hope you take some time right now and really look in the mirror. Are you truly a believer? You truly secure in your relationship with God? I don't care what you say. You can tell me you believe and you're secure. You can say it till you're blue in the face. It doesn't mean it's true, right? I don't know if you're just trying to say it to get me to agree with you so that you got some validation, right? I mean, if you have this urge where you got to let it out, you got to tell everybody, yeah, it's true, this is what's going on. Well, it just shows some insecurity. That's another thing people need to realize is that the things that we think about and the things that we say and don't say, the things that we do and don't do, or the choices we make or don't make, they reveal things about our inner world, our heart. You want to try to say they don't, but they do. You try to think all these little things don't matter. They really do. God said, don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Adam and Eve, all they did was eat some fruit. They get kicked out of the garden, have to deal with sin, and then with their two sons, one of them kills the other one, right? And then things just get worse from there. It wasn't a big deal. They just ate some fruit. Well, I don't care what you think is a big deal, buddy. And just because you say it's not a big deal doesn't mean it's not. It means you don't care about it. It's not a big deal to you. But it doesn't matter what's a big deal to you. It's what matters is what's a big deal to God. And if it's a big deal to me, I'm not just going to let it go and walk away. We know them by their fruits, right? So you see these people and you see how they act. You see the things they say. It doesn't line up with what they claim to believe. The things they claim to say about themselves. You know them by their fruit. And the fruit is their words, reveals the truth about themselves. So if they're hypocritical, if they're inconsistent, if they contradict themselves, there's issues there. All that is straight up lying. That's not the fruit of the Spirit. To get all defensive and fighting, attacking other people's character and trying to troll them and provoke them to anger and to react emotionally when you're confronted about a character defect. That's not good fruit. That's not the fruit of the Spirit right there. That's a demonic spirit that doesn't want to be exposed. Wants everybody to shut up and turn the light off. Stop looking at me. Look at somebody else, not me. You're just revealing the spirit behind you. Your heart. And the only way you're going to get closer to God is you got to be honest with yourself and honest with Him. And it's not about saying, oh, I am being honest with myself, I am being honest with God. Then there shouldn't be an issue. But there obviously is. So, whether you cry out till you're blue in the face that you're not lying, you're not full of it, I don't believe you. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. I don't care if it's everyone else claims it's not a duck. It is what it is. Right? I don't have to take part of your delusions. You want to lie to yourself and deceive yourself? That's fine, but I don't got to go along with it. Which is strange, because these people will mock the people who say, oh, these other people are delusional for thinking, like a man thinking he's a woman, or a woman thinking she's a man, or that they're an animal of some kind, or all these things. They laugh at them being delusional. I don't have to take part of their delusions, but they want you to take part of theirs. All right? So, I'll stop rambling on. I made the point clear. So, take a look in the mirror. You know, you can see who the narcissistic vampires are when they're presented with a mirror and they can't see the reflection. They kind of hide from the mirrors. They don't want to look in the mirror because then everybody's going to see that they are a narcissist, they are a vampire, that they don't even want to admit to themselves. And they just get mad and frustrated when you bring forth a mirror. Well, they're showing what they really are, right? They can say that they're not one, but the evidence proves otherwise. And there's no point in arguing with them because they don't care about the truth. They love their sweet lie of a delusion that they built around themselves. And if you're not going to go along with it, you're the one that's the problem. You're the jerk. You're the evil one, right? You're the high and mighty one, the holier-than-thou jerk, right? Because you're calling out their bullshit, right? You're exposing them, so that makes you the bad guy. Stop doing it. You're hurting their feelings, right? Just let them live their delusion and make everybody think that they're something they're not. No. Just like you're not going to go and pretend some guy's a dog just because he says he is, or some lady's a baby because she says she is. No, I don't have to go along with that. Right? I don't have to feed other people's delusions. But anyway, one of the biggest ones is people claiming to be Christian and actually thinking they're Christian when they're obviously not. So, I know I said I was done and I rambled on again when I said I was done, but here I think I'm pretty sure I'm done. And I appreciate you watching the video all the way through and even hearing me ramble at the end. And if you enjoy this video, you enjoy my other videos, please take a moment to pray to our Heavenly Father that He keeps us going. I want to include you in it this year, right? We all need some help, that He keeps us going until He comes and gets us. You know, may God bless you and yours and take care of you and keep you going. And just an amen in Jesus' name to that should be all we need, right? Thank you for praying with me and supporting my prayer and other prayers that I put up there. I appreciate it. I know God will provide a way. But if you want to help out some more, you can like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, share the video, share the channel, interact in the comments section. These things help out a lot. I'm not monetized, so if you want to and are able to, I know those are some key factors there. You can support 4 different ways in the info box below. If you choose to do so, that would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, that's that. So thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.